Listen to Times Radio at 6:30 every weekday morning for your indispensable briefing on the latest politics, business and sports news of the day. Friday night with Norcott on Times Radio.
Okay, we're going to talk fiction now. And imagine a dystopian world where sunlight is forbidden, where humanity lives and thrives in the shadows. Boz is a character in the book Within, who meets Mozart the heretic, who reveals that there are people who enjoy secret lives on the Earth's surface. Our protagonist must decipher perception versus reality as he seeks the truth to his post-apocalyptic circumstances. And this is just the tip of the iceberg in Alan Rhodes' thriller Within. And I'm delighted to say that he joins me now. Now, I've given a sort of synopsis there. Is there anything as an author you'd like to add to that?
Oh, yes. Thank you for having me here, first of all.
Very welcome.
Yeah, that's an idea I had even before writing my first book. This is my second book. And I had this idea of a world made of a maze of corridors, of viewless corridors, where people have no access to the outside world because they have been told that the sun, the evil sun, burned the earth. So there is no reference to any kind of environmental collapse. And this is the story that the people has been told. But there is this guy, Boz, and it's a tribute to Dickens, who is very curious by nature. He likes wandering around these corridors, even when it's forbidden. And he makes an acquaintance with Mozart, the heretic, a man who has a different idea about the past. And what is peculiar about this world, they live in this nostalgia about the world, how it was, nature. They paint these slates with the features of plants and animals that are no longer there, of course. So it's a fading memory, and these slates are growing more, less accurate, let's say.
And the thing about great sci-fi is obviously there's always analogies, there's always allegories, there's more stuff going on there. And I was trying to, but it feels like there's several here. On the one level, these people living in corridors is just literally living in echo chambers, literally, quite literally. But also, is it about lost kind of cultural memory as well, about short-termism? What are the themes for you that fed into this concept?
I like to call it a dystopian philosophical thriller. I'm a bit snobbish. I've never read a single book of sci-fi, so I don't know if it can be called a sci-fi book. But yes, memory is an important topic. Believing in what you don't see. So at a certain point, Mozart tells Boz, don't look at these walls. Try to look beyond these walls. And it's the concept of faith or believing in what you don't see every day. And that's why I call it a philosophical thriller. Is fast-paced, is rich with action, but there is some food for thought, hopefully, for the reader.
I always think, the naming of characters, I think is such a science to it. And you've got some great characters in here. Boz, obviously, which you could say has got Dickensian origins. Mozart the heretic. I mean, immediately trips off the tongue and flocks. And how long do you spend thinking about appropriate character names? How important is that to you?
It's very important, but it's quite a spontaneous process. When I write a book, I have milestones. So I know that it's starting maybe from a line I like. I know some key episodes, but I leave it to spontaneity. So maybe it's a gift, but I see ideas coming out of myself quite easily.
I mean, another kind of theme to this, I was wondering if it was, because it's essentially about disinformation, isn't it? About people living in circumstances where they're being told, not being told the truth. Is that a comment on kind of fake news and the kind of disinformation, maybe the Trump administration? Is there allusions in this direction?
You find probably more allusions on my first book. It's called The Eagle and the Cockerel. It's about a referendum to unify France and Germany outside the EU. On social media and fake news is a key topic. Of course, misinformation plays a role. And also, sometimes we like to believe what is more reassuring to us. Humans, probably animals in general, we fear change. Our life is based on stability, day, night, eating, breathing. So whatever changes potentially our lives scares us, even if it's a change for the better. So I would say misinformation and also reliance on stability, on old ideas that aren't necessarily true.
I mean, you've made quite a world here. There's quite a conceit to this book. Having put that work into it without giving the game away, is there more to come from this world, or is it a self-contained story?
Who knows? I like to believe I can write many different stories and not relying on a single idea. So my next book, I'm trying to publish it in 1 year from now, it will be about a man in 1920s Spain who can enter into people's mind and root out madness. So it's completely different because it's historical. But who knows?
If, say, for example, Amazon Prime said, we love this, but we want 8 seasons of it, is that something that would be of interest, to turn it into a televisual proposition?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't you? The character Mozart the Heretic, let's talk about him a little bit more. His face has been disfigured. He's a very sort of vivid character. Why did you choose that for?
Yeah, half of his face is... I don't want to spoil anything, but half of his face has been disfigured. And they have been... everybody says because he's tried to look at the sun, he found a way out of this world, and he tried to look at the sun, and half of his face got burned. But there is also another explanation. I'm not spoiling it. Yeah, I like him because he's definitely not reassuring, but the more Bose has the chance to talk to him, he found more pleasant sides. And so his disfigurement is no longer such a big issue when he knows it deeply.
There's a sort of plot-based reason for it as well. Listen, Alan, it sounds like a fantastic book. I think Times Radio listeners would love it. And the book Within, is it available now?
Yes, it's already available. And people can find me on Substack. I have a page called Miss Cliché. It's a social media Substack, and they can find me there too.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
That's author Alan Rode. Now, after a whirlwind